So Alexis McSween is the CEO of Bottom Line Construction. Thank you so much for coming here today. We are so appreciative of you. For anyone that doesn't know about Strive, I know there's some graduates on here and some are not. Strive is a well-established training initiative in East Harlem. We have been around for 37 years. If you ever want to learn more about us, we do have a website, and that is www.strive.org. Okay, so we're just going to dive right in, Alexis. You have been so supportive of Strive. You have been a role model for a lot of our students as well as our graduates. You have really offered some a lot of wisdom to our new graduates. You come to our Jumpstart. You've been there a couple times, and I'm every time we ask you, you come, and you've offered them some great advice. I want to ask you a question. What's the connection that you have to Strive, and what keeps you coming back to Strive and wanting to hire our Strive graduates?
So, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. First, thank you so much for having me. You know, I love you guys. You're like totally awesome. Your graduates are awesome. And one of the things, the main thing that keeps coming me back is your undying sort of dedication to your students, and the follow-up that you do, and the ongoing support and mentorship, I think hands down, you definitely have a true, your finger on the pulse on that. So that's one of the things that keeps me coming back.
Okay, great. Another question. This is a little bit of a long one. This is like a two-part question. The central values of your company are diversity and making urban development work for everyone, the client and the community. Why are these values so important to you? That's the first question. The second part of the question is, and how has our partnership with you helped you to achieve your mission? That's a little bit of a long one. This is like a two-part question.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
There's a little.
Okay. It's okay. Urban development work for everyone.
Let's try and turn that off.
Okay. Why are these?
Okay. See, I had you set up to be on the computer. That didn't work.
No, that did not work.
So I would say the most important part is that most people don't understand in our communities. I mean, for me, I represent our communities, and that's a big deal for us at my company. And the issue is sometimes it's not the ability, right? Because I feel we have the ability and the know-how and the grit to do the work. A lot of times it boils down to access. And so for me, the work that we do is really about providing opportunities and access. And Strive, to me, speaks to those ethos that we care about. And a lot of the graduates that come from you guys have that same mindset. I know I'm losing you here. I'm going to pick you up. Okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
I'm falling down.
It's okay.
So for me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, when I first met you guys, I was actually attending a procurement event at Victoria Theater in Harlem, which is a historical site on 125th Street. And we now are finishing up a project, surprisingly. But this was in 2016, I met you guys. And we were at this procurement event, and it was Verna Hamilton. And I mean, she was just telling anyone and everyone that would listen about Strive, what they do, what your mission and your purpose was. And she was reaching out to all of us. And we were like, it was a huge room full of minority women, a full room of diverse contractors from all sorts of trades. And she just had her whole thing set up. And she had just explained to us how important it was to keep the young people involved and keep Strive students keep them engaged and professional development and all the wonderful things you were doing and helping us with things like OSHA, which is extremely expensive. And just that just resonated with me. So I always stayed in contact. And believe it or not, she even would reach out to me periodically and just say, you know, how's your staffing needs? What's going on? And what people have to understand about organizations like Strive is that it's not just about getting a job. I mean, you guys are in it for the long haul.
Yes.
And I've seen it hands on. You know, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it, and you do show up. But we're talking about, you know, sometimes in our community, some of the young people have other types of situations that other people probably don't have to deal with. So it's not just showing up to work. People have families, people have children, people have elderly, sickly families that they're tending to. There's a plethora of reasons why there might be some challenges. So it's not as simple as, you know, we've had situations where Strive even intervened where someone didn't have childcare. Something as simple as that. And I know somebody else who doesn't experience that is like, well, you know, get a babysitter. But it's not always that easy. And Strive actually helped out with structuring, you know, that situation. So I'm not saying that that's not what Strive necessarily is signing on for, but the fact that they view their students holistically is a big help. And the fact that they don't just dump them off on you as a partner and disappear.
No, we definitely don't do. We are there. We are definitely invested in our students and graduates. Absolutely. Yep. I have a question for you. Everyone knows the construction industry is a male-dominated industry. And I know you've probably been asked this question a million times, but I have to ask, especially for our students who are females and looking to get into the construction field.
Definitely.
Can you tell us some of the challenges that you may have faced as a woman in this industry, even as a business owner in this industry, and then maybe offer some advice to other women that are new to the industry or looking to get into the industry?
Okay, sure, Jill. I'm actually looking forward to the day that question doesn't have to be asked so much, right? Because every panel I'm on and every time I have to speak, they say, you know, what are the challenges? How do you feel about being, you know, a woman in a male-dominated industry? And construction and development is, as of today, but we're making changes, right? It is a male-dominated industry. And so what I usually say is, you know, you really have to, unfortunately, as of today, sort of do a little extra. You have to really, you know, first I would say I wouldn't get into this industry unless you were passionate about it. And then because you're passionate about it, it's easier for you to navigate some of the trials and tribulations that come up. Suggestion-wise, I would say there's something that they say to women in general in business, whether it's male-dominated or not. You know, they speak to, again, in our communities as women, we are pretty much the ones sometimes that are taking care of our families and really stepping up and you know, and because we want to, because we care and we love our families and our community, but it can be a lot. And so a lot of times people say, oh, Jill, you need to, you know, take care of yourself. You need to, you know, go get some massages or, you know, get a mani-pedi.
I wish.
And so that's easier, you know, that's like you said, I wish, like really, like whatever. And then you hang up with me and you go on and you do all your work. But what I want everybody to take away from this is I want everybody to understand the value that we have and that we provide as women, and that we do a lot for less compensation, less financial compensation, less emotional compensation, and we have additional stresses that we have to deal with. I want you guys to, or women, I want us to be in situations, work with, love with, you know, play with people and organizations that care about you, that support you. And I promise you, when you start doing that, it's like friends, right? They always tell you, oh, you are who you hang with. But it's really true. And it's the same truth in our professional lives. So when you start supporting those organizations like Strive and those people and those family members and the people that you are even dating or whatever, When
Mm-hmm.
you start being around those people that feel the same about you and do the same for you, you'll notice that you will start to have more time to do the mani-pedi and the massage
Right.
and the
Right.
self-care that everyone's talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be a good takeaway. That's what I want people to take away. Just be around people that support you the way you support them.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Okay. Next question I have for you. What's your message to other employers that may want to partner with Strive? What would you tell other employers that would want to partner with us? What would
I
you say?
think I already did, but
You did, but it's my list of questions.
I would say, if an organization is truly serious about making a difference, especially now with what we've gone through over the past year, and they really want to make some changes, some positive changes, it's almost like a must to get involved with, I would say, Strive first, but then I would say organizations with the similar mission that Strive has. And, nothing could be said for getting involved with an organization that's committed to their students. Right. And they're committed to the point where how many organizations, workforce organizations, do you get involved with where they do things like the follow-up, the mentorship,
It's true.
the exit interviews? Like I've called you guys and said, let's do an exit interview, not from a negative space at all, but we all want to grow. And if you're a true partner, then you want to know what that student experienced, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And Strive wants good feedback, and you want to get the student involved, because when they go out and they're going to grow, because they're not going to stay with us forever, right? They're going to grow and move on. You want them to have that sociability, that ability to be able to sit down with their boss or their employer and have that exit interview so they can be better. And Strive is always trying to be better, and so are we. So right there, that's a connection. So if you said, what would a partner gain from getting involved with Strive? They would gain so much, because not only is you're putting Strive in a position by employing their students to continue in the community so that everybody can grow and get good, stable employment. That's the option,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so that's what I would say.
Thank you. Well said. I have to bring this up because I had a conversation with Tara, who you know.
Oh.
And she said something. She said grit and grace.
Yes.
And that's something you say a lot. And could you tell us what that means to you, grit and grace?
So basically, when I speak to the Strive graduates, that's what I'm talking about, grit and grace, right? In a sense that, I can get on there and have our little 30 minutes and we talk about, you're going to go out there and, you all these things that everybody else tells you to do. Mm-hmm. But what I want to tell them is, at the end of the day, in this environment, you want to be as flexible and proactive as you possibly can. And that's where the grit comes in. And Strive gives you a plethora of certifications and access to partners for employment. But you really want to look at what's the difference between you and that other person? What's your differential? Mm-hmm. And so I always advocate for things like other things. That's the grit, So yeah, you have your 30-hour OSHA, you have your SST. What else can you have? Right. Get your driver's license. Because see, I come from a community where you always want to make sure there's food on the table, and everything's not always guaranteed to you. So the thing is, the more options you have, the more flexible you are, the more employable you are. So the more flexible, the more employable. So when you get things like your driver's license, when you get things like your fire guard, even though Strive might not have that on their curriculum at that moment, but you can get it. Get that fire guard so that when everybody else has to go home because the job is shut down, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a fire, you can be by the door and still get paid. So it's those types of things that encompass the grit. Those types of things I look for in my team when I hire, that ability to be flexible, because, it is grit. We're a small company. So this is not like, we're not Skanska. You got to have grit. There's no little corner office you're going to go to. You're going to have to, so the more things that you can get, the more skill sets you can get. And it's not just certifications. It could be communication. So if you know you're having trouble with something, hone your skills. You know, there's so many opportunities. I mean, just being connected to Strive can get you to whatever it is you want to do. And whatever you do, the grit, right? Whatever you do your best. So even if you're coming on as a laborer, you're coming on as a porter, you're coming on as the person that's delivering the mail, I don't care what it is, do your best, because employers see that. And that's why you hear success stories of, oh, this one was, you know, the janitor, and now they're flying the plane.
Right.
How do you think that happened? That's the grit.
That's the grit. That's
Yep.
the grit. Well, thank you, Alexis, for joining us today. We are so honored to have you here. We are so grateful that we have such a beautiful partnership with you and your company. I spoke to Jennifer Crossland just the other day.
Oh,
yes,
Jennifer, yeah.
Great things to say.
Oh.
Obviously, learning a lot. So, you know, please continue to, you know, you've been coming to our Jumpstart every like for the last several months. Please just, you know, you've been it's an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Can I give one?
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to tell you, thank you so much for having me and all these great comments. This is weird because I'm actually seeing the comments on the phone and the computer. Thank you guys for joining. And I want to tell you that it's organizations like Strive that led us to create our Youth Construct program, which is not like Strive, but it is construction administration for high school students. And it's called Youth Construct. So if you guys that are on now know young people that might be interested in not only the brick and mortar of the construction industry, but the actual, you know, the pre-development and the development process and the administration part of it with the paperwork, please have them reach out to us, youthconstruct.com.
All right.
Thank you.
And yes, thank you for coming and chatting with us. Again, this is our first Strive talk.
Yep.
And again, it was
sorry about the technical.
No, it's
I
okay.
still don't know what's wrong, but it doesn't work on my computer.
It happens. It's unfortunately, we sometimes we can't control things. But if anyone is interested in learning more about Strive, please go to our website, and that's www.strive.org. Alexis, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, everyone that joined us and is watching. We appreciate you.